Welcome back to ZA Boxing Nation, where boxing lives, breathes, and breaks down. Today, we're honoring the life and legacy of one of the greatest heavyweights to ever lace up a pair of gloves, George Foreman. Foreman wasn't just a dominant champion, he was a force of nature in the ring and an inspiration beyond it. From his devastating knockout power in the 70s to his legendary comeback in the 90s, George Foreman's career is a story of greatness, resilience, and redemption. Whether you remember him as the young, destructive knockout artist who crushed Joe Frazier, as the 45-year-old legend who shocked the world by reclaiming the heavyweight title, George Foreman's impact on boxing is undeniable. Let's take a moment to reflect on George Foreman's career, his most memorable moments, and why his legacy will forever be etched in the history of the sport. George Foreman came into the boxing scene in the late 1960s, but it was in the early 70s that he truly established himself as a dominant force. George Foreman's knockout power was something that the world hadn't seen before. Raw, explosive, and absolutely devastating. In 1973, George Foreman made history by dismantling Joe Frazier in just 2 rounds to capture the heavyweight championship. George Foreman knocked down Joe Frazier 6 times. Brutal display of power, and leaving no doubt that he is the new king of the division. George Foreman went on to defend his titles with the same ferocity, stopping fighters like Ken Norton with ease. His reputation as an unstoppable force was growing, and many believed he was unbeatable. But then came the fight that would change everything, the Rumble in the Jungle against Muhammad Ali in 1974. The Rumble in the Jungle, a very defining moment and one of the greatest upsets in boxing history. Muhammad Ali used his legendary rope-a-dope strategy to tire out George Foreman and stopped him in the 8th round. George Foreman had been seen as an indestructible powerhouse, but was suddenly humbled. This loss wasn't just a defeat, it was a turning point in George Foreman's life. After that fight, George Foreman's career took a downward turn and he eventually retired in 1977. Next is the stuff of legends. In 1987, George Foreman shocked the world by announcing his comeback. Many doubted that a man in his 30s could compete with younger, faster heavyweights. But George Foreman wasn't just coming back for a paycheck. He was coming back to reclaim his place among the greats. George Foreman worked his way back up the rankings, proving that his power hadn't faded with time. He took on all comers, and despite his age, he showed remarkable composure, durability, and ring IQ. Then came the moment that defined his comeback. November 5th, 1994. At 45 years old, George Foreman faced Michael Moorer for the heavyweight title. And an outrageous right hand in the 10th round that put Morrow down for the count. George Foreman had just become one of the oldest heavyweight champions in boxing history. His comeback wasn't just a victory for himself, it was a statement to the power and perseverance and belief one can have. George Foreman's legacy isn't just about what he did in the ring, it's about who he became outside of it. After retiring, George Foreman reinvented himself as a successful entrepreneur, a beloved television personality, and an inspiration to millions around the world. The George Foreman Grill became a household name, making a multi-millionaire and proving that success isn't limited to the ring, but more importantly, George Foreman used his platform to inspire others, emphasizing faith, family, and hard work. George Foreman's journey from a feared knockout artist to a beloved cultural icon is one of the most remarkable transformations in sports history. He showed that there's still life after boxing and that greatness isn't just about championships, it's about leaving a lasting impact. Even today, George Foreman's influence can be seen in the sport of boxing. His power, resilience, and ability to reinvent himself served as an inspiration to fighters of all generations. George Foreman taught us that it's never too late to chase greatness, and true champions are not defined just by their victories, but how they respond to adversity. Whether it's young prospects learning to stay composed under pressure or veterans looking for that last shot of glory, George Foreman's story is a blueprint to success for both inside and outside of the ring. George Foreman's legacy will live on forever. He will be remembered. His career, his comeback is larger than life. His personality made him an icon in the sport of boxing. But what's your favorite George Foreman moment? Did his knockout over Joe Frazier leave the biggest impression? Or is it his historic win over Michael Moorer that inspired you the most? Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and always keep celebrating the legacy of George Foreman. It's ZA Boxing Nation, where champions get analyzed and legends are made. And as always, keep your hands up, and I'll catch you in the next one.